If you're eating healthier than ever but still feel exhausted, anxious, or hormonal, this video is for you because in today's video, I'm going to share 5 ways that your clean eating diet may actually be wrecking your hormones and metabolism. Yep, I'm not joking. I see this all the time in my clinic and honestly throughout the wellness space in general. Women who have what looks like the healthiest diet imaginable on paper, yet they're still struggling with PMS, PCOS, mood swings, thyroid issues, fatigue, insomnia. The list goes on. Now, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Linda Rizzoli, nutritional therapist, health coach, and senior lecturer at the College of Naturopathic Medicine. I help women understand their hormones, restore their energy, and feel confident in their bodies again through simple nutrition and lifestyle shifts that honor our unique female physiology. So let's dive in. Now, before I get into the 5 ways, I want to quickly explain what I mean by clean eating and preface this by saying that I don't really like that term. Food has no moral value. Food isn't clean or dirty, good or bad. It's nourishment. And while some foods may be more optimal than others, I don't believe that foods should be labeled as dirty or bad for that matter. That said, when people talk about clean eating, they usually mean a diet that's very heavy in salads, vegetables, nuts and seeds, plant milks, maybe some oily fish and lean meats, or exclusively plant-based. And whilst those foods can absolutely have a place in a healthy diet, problems can arise when they become the entire diet. So let's start with number 1. You're under eating. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you've probably heard me say this many times. Most women I work with or observe in student clinics are either purposely or inadvertently undereating. We've been conditioned as women to eat like tiny little baby birds. Some of the portions I see are absolutely minuscule. Or women are eating huge volumes of food that contain very little energy or calories. So big salads, steamed vegetables, vegetable soups. And whilst those foods are healthy, if you're living off salads and steamed vegetables, you may simply not be eating enough. Then you add intermittent fasting into the mix, and now we've got ourselves chronic caloric restriction. And guess what? Your body sees that as a stressor. So over time, that will impact your thyroid, your reproductive hormones, and your metabolism because your body is trying to conserve energy. One thing I notice over and over again is women coming to me exhausted. Now, obviously, our lifestyles are very busy, but when I look at their food diaries, they're literally running on empty. And this is where tracking your food, even just for a few days, can be incredibly powerful. Not because I want you to obsess over calories, but because it gives you data. Am I eating enough? Am I eating enough of the right things? And there you can see where changes need to be made. Number 2, the fear of carbohydrates. This is a big one. We've become absolutely obsessed with protein. Everything is high protein. Protein powders are added into everything. I've even seen protein water advertised recently. Now, don't get me wrong. I love protein and it's incredibly important. And in the past, I have seen women under eating protein. But somewhere along the way, women have become terrified of carbohydrates. No bread, no rice, no potatoes, no fruit unless it's berries, maybe the occasional sweet potato, but that's about it. Well, why is that a problem? Well, let me tell you, sister, carbohydrates are our body's preferred fuel source. They're incredibly important for thyroid function. Your liver actually needs carbohydrates to effectively convert thyroid hormone T4 into the active hormone T3. And what do I see in women who aren't eating enough carbohydrates? Low energy, cold hands and feet, waking up in the night, reduced metabolic rate, difficulty building muscle, feeling constantly stressed. Carbohydrates help us fuel our workouts so we can actually build muscle and achieve that toned look that so many women are chasing. They help us sleep, they support our thyroid, they support fertility, they keep our hormones in balance. So protein is important, but it needs to be balanced with carbohydrates. And if you're genuinely scared of drinking freshly squeezed orange juice or eating beautiful seasonal fruit in the summer, we've got a problem, my friend. I've even seen fruit compared to a can of Coke. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Number 3, too many nuts, seeds, nut butters, and plant milks in the diet. Again, let me be clear. I'm not saying nuts and seeds are unhealthy and we should never eat them. But what I'm saying is that many women are overdoing them. Nut butters, chia puddings, healthy desserts made with nut flours, almond milk in every coffee, seeds sprinkled over everything. The problem is that nuts and seeds can become difficult to digest when eaten in large amounts. Think about it. Seeds don't actually want to be eating. They want to be passing through a bird, be pooped out into the ground, and grow into a new plant. So if they're not prepared properly, for example, by soaking them and sprouting them, they can actually really irritate the digestive tract. They are also very high in polyunsaturated fats, or PUFAs, and in excess, these fats can contribute to inflammation and can suppress thyroid function. Then we have plant milks that everyone is drinking instead of milk. Now, many nut milks contain seed oils, gums, and emulsifiers that can further disrupt gut health. And if you're frothing almond milk that already contains rapeseed oil, or even if it's just almonds, you're heating an already unstable fat, which can become even more inflammatory because you're heating up a high polyunsaturated fat food, PUFA food. Now, I'm not going to get into the dairy debate today. That deserves a whole video on its own. But I do think that we need to question replacing a food that we've eaten for millennia, rich in retinol, protein, calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and potassium, with what is often a highly processed modern alternative. Now, if dairy doesn't agree with you, I'd much rather see you choosing coconut milk over oats or nut milks. Number 4, exclusively plant-based diets with no animal products. Now, this may be controversial. Now, a well-planned, plant-based diet could absolutely work for some people, but in my clinic, I have seen many women develop significant hormonal issues after years of eating exclusively plant-based. Now, one reason is that these diets are often unintentionally too low in calories, and they can also be lacking in key nutrients like retinol, the active form of vitamin A, which is found only in animal foods. Now, many plant-based alternatives are also based around seed oils and omega-6 rich ingredients. And then there's soy. Soy contains phytoestrogens, plant compounds that can influence estrogen activity. And for some women, especially those that are already struggling with hormonal imbalances, large amounts are not helpful. This isn't about saying that plant foods are unhealthy and should be avoided. It's about recognizing that women's hormones have very specific nutritional requirements, and animal protein is really important for women's health, hormones, fertility, and thyroid function. Number 5, overhydrating. Now, this last one might surprise you. What do I mean? I mean drinking gallons and gallons of water every single day. Now, hydration is important, of course it is, right? But forcing liters of plain water into your body, regardless of thirst, isn't always beneficial. Too much plain water can actually dilute our electrolytes and even impair digestion if it's drunk a lot around meal times. Personally, I prefer including mineral-rich drinks throughout the day. In winter, that may be things like bone broth or herbal teas. In summer, coconut water or pomegranate juice. And one of my absolute favorites, freshly squeezed orange juice. It's delicious, it's hydrating, and it's packed with nutrients. And don't forget to eat your hydration too. Fresh fruit is one of the best ways to hydrate your body, as well as drinking a lot of soups and steaming or boiling your foods instead of grilling them. Okay, so that's 5, but I'm going to include a bonus point, the stress of eating perfectly. And this is something that I don't see a lot of people really talking about in the wellness space. There is so much pressure to have the perfect diet. Now, you've probably heard of orthorexia. It's an emerging and somewhat controversial eating disorder that's characterized by an unhealthy obsession with eating a healthy diet. Now, that's the extreme, but I regularly see women who become so anxious about every tiny detail of their diet that eating actually becomes stressful. They're terrified of eating anything off plan. They're worried about every ingredient. They're obsessively checking labels. They're afraid that one meal is going to undo all of their progress. And I know this because I was one of them. My most stressful period was when I was so desperately trying to heal my autoimmune condition Hashimoto's by eating a perfect autoimmune diet, which stopped me from ever going out and socializing, made me eliminate a whole bunch of foods that are really important for thyroid function, and caused immeasurable stress both to myself and to the people around me. And guess what? It didn't work. Now, I'm a nutritionist. I obviously believe nutrition matters, but do I eat perfectly 100% of the time? Heck no, that's absolutely impossible. And honestly, I live in the real world. More often than not, yes, I eat a whole foods diet, which doesn't eliminate any food groups. But sometimes my meal may look like Korean fried chicken and an ice cold beer. And I'm perfectly okay with that because health isn't built on one meal, it's built on what we do consistently over time. And pleasure is also really important when it comes to, living our lives and helping our hormones and, not spiking our cortisol constantly by worrying that we're not eating the perfect diet. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you find yourself stressing when your diet isn't perfect? Or have you experienced hormonal symptoms that didn't improve despite eating clean? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with my content, but also so that this content can reach a wider audience. And if you'd like to go much deeper into this work, I do have an online self-led program with group coaching called the Midlife Reset. It's my flagship program built from more than a decade of clinical experience working with hundreds of women, as well as my teaching work at the College of Naturopathic Medicine in London. I've left all the information in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.